my big goal today is first not to fall off the back of the stage, but just to kind of give you guys an overview of nutrition, what's in your food, how it can help you, and not just with performance, but like aging and longevity and everything. We'll have like a little Q&A panel at the end, so if you have questions, you're welcome to ask. And if any of you want a copy of the presentation I'm doing today, I have business cards at the Ruby Peak table. You can grab one. My email's on there. Just ask me and I'll send it to you, because there's some good slides in here that you might want to revisit. So I'll go ahead and get started. This is me. These are just the certifications I have in case you're wondering, if I'm qualified to talk to you today or not. But I do nutrition coaching and CrossFit coaching, which is really just functional fitness. So, okay, so let's get into this. I think that will eventually disappear. Yeah, okay. So this is basically like what our food is made of. We have carbohydrates, protein, and fat. We also have micronutrients, but these are the basic things or the building blocks of our foods. Carbohydrates and protein each have 4 calories per gram, and fats have 9 calories per gram. So fats are definitely more dense and easily overconsumed if we're not careful. But basically, these are kind of all the essential components in your food, and it's nice to have a balance of these 3 things in your diet. And a lot of us aren't even really aware of what's in our food. So this is kind of just some general education, which might be elementary for some of you, or might be new to some of you. So let's focus first on protein. Protein is, in my opinion, one of the most important macronutrients. But adequate protein is crucial to your health and progress, no matter what your goals are or what your age is. It helps support production and retention of lean muscle mass, which is very important. That increases your metabolic rate, your metabolism. So the more muscle mass you have, the more calories you burn. It also contains essential amino acids that allow your muscles to fully repair and recover from daily use. So things you're doing training-wise or around the house or on the farm, anything like that. It's also the most satiating macro, and so a lot of us end up overeating calories because we're not getting enough protein intake, and protein helps us stay feeling full, so it's really important to have in the diet. And when you're eating enough protein, you'll see cravings for sugar and other things like that go way down. So prioritizing protein is definitely very important, and it also helps us regulate blood sugar levels. So if any of you have insulin issues or diabetes, high protein intake is really important for that too. Protein recommendations. So the RDA suggests 0.8 grams per kilogram, which is only 0.36 grams per pound of protein of your body weight. This is I hate this number because it's so low, but this is the minimum to prevent deficiency for a very sedentary person. It's not optimal for anyone, in my opinion, and it's definitely not optimal for muscle repair, performance, or general health. Active people, athletes, anyone who's working out, needs closer to 0.8 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight or goal body weight if you're looking to lose weight or gain weight based on your goals, intensity, and the training type that you're doing. So an example here for a 150-pound person, the RDA guide would come out to around 54 grams of protein a day. It's so little. And an active individual, based on everything I talked about there, should be having 120 to 180 grams of protein today. So you can see that's a huge, huge discrepancy. The main takeaway is I would recommend eating about 1 gram per pound of body weight in protein daily, current weight or goal weight, and kind of see how you do there. That's going to help you thrive instead of just get by. Another cool thing about protein that I really like is there's this theory in nutrition science called the protein leverage hypothesis, and it kind of explains why people overeat calories in general. Our bodies basically have a biological priority to consume a specific amount of protein every day, and if our diet is insufficient in that, we will keep eating more calories until our body gets that desired amount of protein that actually needs to function. And those foods tend to be protein decoy foods, so salty, spiced foods, things like that. Chips are a big one. Cheeses are another one. There's kind of some other little descriptive things on there. Sometimes examples would be like protein-fortified cereals. We can crave those kinds of things too. or savory snack mixes like Chex, Gardettos. You guys are probably all familiar with that stuff. You can start eating them, and then you just want to keep eating more and more and more. So these foods mimic the taste and the mouthfeel of protein, but they're loaded with like refined carbs, fats, and they have very little actual protein. There's this whole other thing about like protein chips and all this other stuff right now that is like marketing. That's a whole rabbit hole I won't go down, but don't get tricked by that stuff. It's not the protein that you want. So your brain, when you're eating these things, thinks it's protein. So again, it just keeps telling you to like eat more and eat more and eat more until it's satisfied, but you never really get satisfied. On the right here, what to do instead is prioritize like real whole food proteins. So, eggs, grass-fed meats. You guys are lucky that you have so many great like meat and egg and fresh products around here. Legumes, beans, tofu, fish, yogurts, cottage cheese, things like that. And then read your nutrition labels, which we're going to get to on another slide, but aim for 10 to 20 grams of protein in your snacks, and then more like 30, 35 grams or more in your meals, if you're looking at labels and things like trying to decide what to choose. And then always pair your protein with carbs and fats so that you're truly getting satiated and getting all the nutrients and not just one thing. This doesn't really fit the slide, and I'm not going to stay on here too long, but these are different proteins based on their leanness to the highest fat, and then there's one in the middle. So usually when people are focusing on health goals, I'll encourage you to eat on the lean side, which is the far left. I didn't include a plant protein list on here just because I didn't want to have too much stuff thrown at you today, but you can always include plant proteins as well. So what I usually tell people who aren't tracking food intake is to pick like 5 different things from that list, mostly the lean to moderate category, and try to consume those at some point in your day, whether it's in a meal or a snack, different portions and whatnot. And then when you're consuming protein, try to aim for like a hand-sized portion, I should say palm size. So we all have a hand. It's kind of relative to our body size. So that's a great way to kind of track how much protein you're taking in loosely and aim for that in each meal. Next, we'll move to carbohydrates. So again, these are 4 calories per gram. Carbohydrates are your preferred energy source. And a lot of people are afraid of carbs, and you really shouldn't be, because it is your initial source of energy that your body's looking for when you're working out or exercising or doing work. So there are 3 single sugar units provided in carbohydrates. It's your short-term energy for your body. So again, that's what you're going to use right away, and it can be stored as glycogen in your liver to maintain blood sugar and in your muscles to fuel your exercise. So for athletes in particular, carbs work great to replenish glycogen stores in your muscles that are depleted throughout your training. It also translates into better recovery and higher levels of performance when you're eating enough carbohydrate. So if you are tracking your food or counting macros, it's helpful to think of carbs on a scale of low calorie density to high calorie density. And what I mean by that is, again, here are some different slides. Low calorie density things are on the left, moderate, and then high density things are on the right. So you can see, like, basically it's fruits and vegetables are going to be your low to moderate calorie items. This just means you can eat a lot of them. You can get a lot of volume without a lot of calories. The things that are more dense are going to be on that right-hand side. So breads, some fruits, dried fruits for sure, rice, things like that. When we're looking at carbs, we want to make sure that we're eating enough carbohydrates that have fiber. That's going to digest slower, but it's also going to bind to different toxins and things in your system and assist with digestion and all of that. So having high fiber is important. Well, I won't even say high fiber. I will say the adequate amount of fiber. So about 20 grams for females and 30 grams for males is a recommended minimum. So that's just something to kind of shoot for when you're mixing and matching your different carb sources. So fat is the last macronutrient. These are very important. And I grew up in the era of like the 80s and 90s, low fat, slim fast, all of that terrible, terrible diet stuff. Fats are very important, so don't skimp on those. We can overeat them, like I said earlier, because they do have 9 calories per gram, so they're more dense. But they facilitate the transport and absorption of essential vitamins and fatty acids. They support joint health, digestion, brain function, cardiovascular health. The dietary fats are necessary. Like, we need to eat them. You need to consume them. They're also very important for healthy hormone production. So this goes for males and females both. They are basically the precursor for our sex hormones. So if we're not eating enough quality fats, in women, we will see like progesterone and estrogen decline. In men, we can see the testosterone decline. Nobody wants that. So without it, we can't thrive. Again, kind of like protein. Fats are digesting slower in our system, and they'll keep you full longer. So that's why we always want to create a nice balanced meal with protein, carbs, and fats. These are some different types of fats, which I won't dig too much into the science, but we have saturated, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated in there. I definitely think having a combination of all of those is important. Fats definitely will impact, your health, so you want to stick with whole food fat sources if you can. I don't recommend a lot of things like highly processed fats. Fried foods are an example, seed oils, just be like really cautious of those. Obviously, it's fine if you have those once in a while, but you want to focus on these low processed or unprocessed fats in your diet. And that's to help prevent like lots of other diseases. So those are the main macronutrients, but we don't want to forget about our micronutrients. This is going to come in your colorful foods. There's not a lot of calories here, so it's really hard to overeat, but they're important. So if you're eating mostly a brown diet, start including like a handful of something like this in your diet, and it will help a lot. They are all of the vitamins and minerals, and every different colored food contains a different color of vitamin or mineral. So that's why it's important to have, like, eat the rainbow, as you've probably heard. But these micronutrients are good for energy production, immune function, bone health, muscle function and recovery, mood and brain health. And you get a lot of electrolytes and things like that through your colorful fruits and vegetables as well. Okay, is this going to show? Yeah. So how to read a nutrition label. And again, this might be very elementary for some of you, but a lot of people only look at the calories on a nutrition label, and that's very misleading. So I'm going to encourage you to look at the things that are on the arrows there. It's very important. So serving size, that's important because a lot of things, I've seen single-serve bags of chips, cookies, things like that, and if you look at the serving size, it's like a half a cookie for the serving size. So you think you're eating 280 calories, but you're actually eating double if you eat the whole thing. But people don't usually read the fine print, So really, I just want to teach you to start doing that if you're not doing it. Your fat there is highlighted. That's important. Carbohydrates are there. Under carbohydrates, you'll see a fiber. That's always listed. You'll see other things like total sugars. That's naturally occurring sugar. This item doesn't have any added sugars, but it's important to look for added sugars. You don't want to have too much added sugar in your diet if possible. That's what kind of creates inflammation, issues with diabetes, prediabetes, and things like that. I can't remember the exact number, but I want to say you want to have less than 60 grams of total sugars per day in your diet. Added sugars around 20 or 25, based on male or female. So just keep that in mind. And then proteins listed on the bottom. So this item has a pretty good balance of macronutrients. Probably could have a little more protein, but not bad. And then I'm kind of just illustrating here why reading labels is important. So I'm just giving you one example here today, which is yogurt. I think a lot of people eat yogurt, and we just go in and we look and we think, oh, that one looks good. My favorite actually is the one on the far left, the lemon, but it's not the best for you. So when you're looking at labels on things, this is kind of how you'll start looking. So that one on the far left, the lemon Noosa, it's got only 6 grams of protein and 20 grams of added sugar. Is it added? I can't remember. Anyways, 20 grams of sugar. The one in the middle, the Greek gods, this is a plain yogurt, but it still only has 9 grams of protein and 11 grams of sugar. Normally we're like, okay, plain yogurt, that's a better one, right? Doesn't have like the added flavors. And then the Siggi's, the one on the right, is actually my favorite. I know it's not available everywhere, but this they have multiple kinds. This one I took a picture of is the zero fat. They do have 2%, 4%, and whole milk, and I recommend all of them. The plain version for sure. So this has 19 grams of protein and 5 grams of sugar. So if you're looking for a higher protein yogurt and something that's healthier and better for you, you're gonna wanna get the Siggy's one. And every once in a while, maybe for like a treat, you could do one of the others, right? Okay, so when I'm educating people on a balanced meal, I like to refer to the plate method, which is basically like this. And having you aim for having a half a plate in colorful food, so mostly vegetables, but a little fruit's fine. A quarter plate in protein, maybe a third plate if you're a bigger person gaining muscle mass or a large male. And then a quarter plate in your starchy carbs. And when you're looking at this, there's some pictures of different combinations, but I like to go back to those food lists to kind of help figure out what items are supposed to be on that plate. Supposed to be is not the right word, but ideally on that plate. And then your fats, only a thumb to 2 thumbs worth per meal. That's not very much if you think about it. Most of us, if we're ordering a salad at a restaurant, get a container about that big of dressing, and we use the whole thing. And so then you're basically defeating the purpose of that healthy meal because you've just added 400 or 500 calories worth of fat to your meal. So those are, something's buzzing. So those are things I just want you to just be conscious of. It's not like it's a bad thing to obviously order a salad and use dressing, but the more education that you have around it, you'll be a little smarter with your choices for the day. I have some dark chocolate there because that's my favorite fat source. A lot of your fat will sometimes come in your protein too. So if you're not eating off that lean category and you're in the moderate to high fat, you're probably not gonna need to add any more fat to that meal. I came up with some visual examples of balanced meals because I'm a visual person, it helps me, so hopefully it helps you. But basically, the couple on the top are like things you might make at home, right? So you can kind of see how half the plate is colorful. You've got about a quarter plate of your starchy carbohydrate, and then a quarter to a third plate of your protein source there. Stuff like sandwiches, it's a little harder because it's not going to be, split up on your plate like that. But you can start to visualize, okay, maybe I should do an open-faced sandwich today instead of like 2 pieces of bread or whatever. And then on the bottom, I did some kind of restaurant/takeout foods just to show you how you can take something that you might love eating every day and just make it a little bit more balanced. So it might be adding like a chicken Caesar salad to your pizza, or some fruit on the side, or having Greek yogurt on your pancakes, or something simple like that. Yeah?
You mentioned the buzz. I don't know why your right hand has a different energy than your left, but if you hold up your left, it won't buzz.
If I just hold it up like this?
No, hold the mic in your left hand.
Oh, this way?
Yeah?
Yeah?
It shuts up, and I don't know what the energy difference is, but...
Oh, okay. I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, try it.
I'm Italian, so I talk with my hands.
With your right hand.
Okay. Hold still, Amy. Okay, we're almost done. So nutrition isn't just food. There's a lot of other things that I consider impacting our nutrition, which is like health related. So we have different pillars like stress, exercise, hydration, and alcohol. So these are pretty big. Stress. So when people are telling me, I can't lose weight, for example, I always look at stress first. Because if you have high stress, you're going to have high cortisol, high blood pressure. It's going to impact your sleep, and those impact other hormones, and so on. So it's like a trickle-down effect. So make sure you're spending time doing things that you love and that you are reducing the burden of stress on your system, especially if you're noticing like what I'll call cortisol belly or whatever there's so many names for it out there right now. But if you're noticing like belly fat, look at your stress first. Exercise. People love exercise generally. I know a lot of you around here are so active because of all the activities, which is amazing. Walking is great too, but you do want to get your heart rate up. So I often will tell people only exercise if your sleep is sufficient. Because if you are, again, trying to lose weight, for example, and you're exercising, you're just spiking that stress level if you're not letting your body rest. So sleep and rest are very important to the whole equation. And you only get fitter if you're rested and recovered, especially if you're building muscle, for example. You're tearing those muscles down. They get stronger during the rest phase. Hydration. A lot of people don't drink enough water. I can't tell you how many people I work with that come to me and they're drinking like a cup of water a day, but lots of other things, caffeine, teas, sodas, whatever. So one really important thing is just starting to drink more water than you drink right now. And you'll see a lot of great benefits from that. Your cells can't function without water. You won't digest food well. It's necessary. You have to drink good water. I usually tell people to start drinking about half your body weight in ounces, just as a minimum, see how that feels. And always add electrolytes if you can. You can drink too much water, it's very rare, but if you're peeing clear all the time, that you're probably drinking too much water. I don't usually run into that as an issue with people. Most people aren't drinking enough. And then last, alcohol. So alcohol is treated as a toxin in your body, which basically means it's going to stop metabolizing food or anything else in your system to get rid of the alcohol first. So you're already doing yourself a disservice if you're having like a really big restaurant meal and then you're piling alcohol on top of that. So I encourage people to refrain from alcohol if they want better sleep, digestion, metabolism, muscle mass, and just keep it to special occasions. And again, you're all adults, you can all make your own choices, but I'm here to provide education. So if you're noticing like things are stuck, these are the areas to start looking at on top of your diet. Last page, I think. So I know what I went over today is like a lot of information, and sometimes people get overwhelmed and they're like, I don't even know where to start. So these are just ideas. I wouldn't deal with them all at once. I usually tell people to pick one thing, focus on it, and once you're consistent with that habit, then pick another one and layer it in. So start working on sleep routines. Again, prioritizing sleep above everything else is going to have a really nice domino effect. Start your day with high protein. I recommend somewhere between 30 and 40 grams of protein a day. That just sets the tone for the day. It stabilizes your blood sugar. It gives you energy. And most people will notice less cravings and hunger the rest of the day as a result of doing that. Cook your meals at home. If you're eating out a lot, just start cooking more meals at home. You control all the ingredients. There's no hidden calories in there. It's an excellent way to improve your diet and your health. Limit added sugar and alcohol. We kind of touched on that. Hydration. Start doing a little bit of meal prep. If you're a really busy person and it's harder for you to stay on top of nutrition, just try to prep maybe one thing a day. Maybe you start having the same breakfast every day at home, and that's something you can prep ahead of time. That's all I have for you today. I have a QR code on here that goes to my website, but like I said, I have a business card over there. So if you have questions that pop up after this, or you're interested in one-on-one coaching, I do remote coaching, and I do come over here quite a bit in the summer to backpack. So I'm around if you ever wanted to meet up. And then that's the name of my website there. And like I said, we're going to be doing a panel up here in a bit. So you can ask me questions then, but thank you for your time.